Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the REC podcast, brought to you by REC Comics and Collectibles. I'm your host, Roman Chavez, and with me, as always,
Erik
and as I've said in previous episodes, Eric Wheeldon. Now you guys can find him. Kids, we get graced again. Don't worry about what we're wearing. Don't get weird about this, okay? But we've got Big Tuna, and we've got Dave in the house. We don't really have a nickname for you, do we? Davidlicious? Davidlicious? I'm into that.
All right, I guess.
All right, Davidlicious, here we go. Big Tuna, Davidlicious in the house. We were blessed, guys. We were blessed with a trailer that I think all of us are excited about. I don't think there's a single one of us that wasn't. Ghostbusters, Afterlife. And as the two biggest Ghostbusters fans I know besides myself, I'm going to let you guys take it away. I cannot wait to hear your exact reactions. They were texting in our text thread, and I hadn't watched it yet, so I just had to quit reading what they were saying until I watched it. So, what did you guys think?
Amazing. There's a lot to unpack, but when I watched that trailer, and no disrespect to the other film with all the wonderful female actors that are in it, but that trailer blew the movie out of the water. Yeah. If all I saw was that trailer, I would tell you that movie is better than the 2016 reboot with Kristen Wiig. I'm sorry, funny, had its funny moments, but this trailer is, I'm afraid I'm hyping it up, but it's really that good.
This looks like a Ghostbusters movie. The 2016 Ghostbusters movie did not really feel like a Ghostbusters movie. And what I mean by that is, when you go back and watch the first two, and I get a lot of crap because I love the first one, but I really enjoy a lot from the second one. Mm-hmm. And there's some people who are like, oh, the second one's like terrible, but they open the universe in a bigger way in the second one that I enjoy.
Yeah.
But the movies do such a good job blending the horror and the comedy. And the thing about the 2016 Ghostbusters is it didn't do any of the horror stuff good.
No.
None of it good.
No.
And so they tried to give you a villain to like explain a motivation, like why is he doing this and stuff. And they had some cool ideas, but like going back and watching, especially the first Ghostbusters, there are like several minutes where it's like there's not going to be a joke. You know, when we were first introduced to Dana and in the building and stuff, and they're kind of this ominous music. I was starting to get those vibes. The vibes that you get where it's like someone, the son of the director, is like, I want to take this existing universe and give us a new story in a way.
Right. And just to set it up, like the 2016 reboot versus the original movie and then the subsequent sequel, two different experiences, right? Mm-hmm. And two different types of comedy as well. And I'll be the first to admit, when I saw that first scene in 2016 reboot, I was laughing. They had me going. They really did, but it was not a Ghostbuster film in the sense that we're used to, because we were born in the 80s. We were introduced to those movies in the 80s, and they had a very different type of humor coming from, I would say, very iconic, historic, genius type comedians, and they delivered their humor in a different way that isn't the same that you would find with Kristen Wiig or some of the other supporting cast members. They're funny, but it's different, and I wouldn't even want to call it a Ghostbuster film. If you called it something different, I probably would have said, okay, fine, this is a great movie, or it's a fine enough.
It's an homage,
or just link them, just like, hey, this technology exists. The government has taken it or whatever. We need our own type. And what's her face is a protege of whomever, and you can do that. They tried to make their own thing out of something that exists. And you just can't do that. If you tie it together, it would have made that movie much better. And I'm an advocate for it. I enjoy it. I've seen it. I've seen it double-digit times. If it's on, it's one of those things. If I'm cleaning the house and it's on, I'll leave it on. It doesn't bother me, and I've watched it on purpose several times.
I think the 2016, like one of the, we should be talking about the trailer, but hold on real quick. My funniest joke, I thought, and I appreciate this subtle humor, I really do, and dry humor, but one of the best jokes in there was when she accused Andy Garcia of being the mayor from Jaws.
Yes, never called me
offended.
Yes. And that's a smart joke.
Yes.
That doesn't make any sense. There's no fat on it. You can't remove any line of it.
Yeah.
Because it won't make sense.
If he doesn't respond that way, it's not a good joke.
It doesn't work.
Yeah.
Right, and there were a lot of smart jokes in the original one too, and I think that's probably why I felt this one was so great. I mean, there were a lot of other good jokes in that film, no question, but that's the kind of humor that you saw run throughout the original, the first one and the second one.
In the Lady Ghostbusters movie, the funniest character was the male. Chris Hemsworth.
He stole the show.
Every scene and every line, and he executes the physical humor so he's wearing the glasses, he's talking, and he just like rubs his eye and like doesn't miss that beat.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
Yeah. He doesn't bring attention to it. You almost don't catch it. You almost react when she reacts.
Because then she
You're not sure that you saw him touch through his lens. And then you're like, did you? Yeah.
What was super interesting, getting back to the trailer, because
that's
what we should be talking about. What was super interesting about that was the backstory of Egon, right? In the original films, you didn't know Egon had some sort of separate life where he would be a grandfather, let alone, I want to know more about that. Yeah. That's intriguing to me. Like, where did he have time to actually go procreate, and then his children then go have children of their own? What happened there? I'm super curious about that. I'm also curious about why he was the one to actually get the equipment, right? The Ecto-1, why did he get the proton packs? Why did he get the traps as opposed to maybe Ray or even Winston or Peter Venkman, right? Mm-hmm. Those are all questions that I want to know. And why is it in the setting that it's in? I'm sure we can talk more about that because there are certain hints within the trailer about the enemy and its tie back to the first movie. But these are all intriguing questions that beg questions for me and leave me wanting more.
One thing that the second movie didn't address, but weirdly enough, the video game, which brought back the original cast of voice actors, added in Brian Doyle Murray, Bill Murray's brother and stuff. William Atherton, Walter Peck was in it as well. I think Annie Potts, who was in the trailer.
That was great.
Yeah, great way to include her. The big question I had, and I grew up watching the first and second one. Like, those are my two favorite movies I watched, like, all the time. I think I watched the original Ghostbusters tape, like, they recorded it off HBO, my parents or my grandparents or something, that, like, the tape broke, which really pissed me off, because it was one of those, like, really long 6-hour tapes that had Ferris Bueller and Back to the Future on it. So, like, 3 fantastic movies where it's like, you press play, and there's your afternoon. You're just done, But there's like this big question that was never mentioned in the second one after the events of the first one, which takes place, and that is, how does life change when people realize the existence of the paranormal, supernatural? How does religion and science, how is it these are like seem to be the only guys that seem to have any idea about what's going on? Why is the government not involved? And so in the game, the fact that they're kind of an extension of like the city's like public utility. So it's like the more damage you cause, the Walter Peck has to write it off. And that's why, so the more damage that you throw the ghosts into the walls and stuff, you rake up that money. That's the bonus. That's the whole joke. That was a pretty clever, kind of cool way to do it. But like,
it's a great extension of the universe.
Yes. Right. And when I saw 2016 Lady Ghostbusters, and it started with that like ghost core, like, and it's like, okay, they could make this into a universe. They could tell us. Yeah,
I hope it happens.
Yeah. And we can get, if we want to get into the meat of the trailer, because the first trailer that was released had some things that I think they intentionally left out from the second one, because that first trailer came out forever ago.
Yeah. And before we get into that, I would like to say what I liked about this trailer is that it felt completely new.
Yeah.
It had been so long, like you said, since the last trailer. It felt like I was watching that trailer again, but we got different stuff.
Yeah.
So sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
But one thing, and I'm sure Dave will have some theories too. I went back and watched the first teaser that came out, and you see in this town, that's seemingly in the middle of nowhere, which there's probably intentionally a reason why Egon moved there or had a house there. There's a mine shaft that we see the kids like around, and there's a sign that says Shandor Mines, and Ivo Shandor is the architect and designer of Dana Barrett's building, a worshiper of Gozer and this evil spiritual entity. And then in the new trailer, there was a few things we saw that there was almost like an underground statue. It looked like something from The Exorcist, like this underground like burial tomb might be in the mine. The statue looks very much like
or mine hole.
Yes, looks very much like the female rendering of Gozer. And then we see a shot of what looked like the terror dog chasing Paul Rudd out of Walmart. And so part of me is like, on the one hand, there does seem to feel like some fan service, but at the same time, there's a lot of questions they can answer, but you really need to answer it in this world. Paul Rudd's talking about New York City was like The Walking Dead back in the 80s or something, and it's like, then did it just stop?
Yeah.
In between 1 and 2, it did.
Yeah.
And then and they got lawsuits up the wazoo, and they're all kind of doing their own thing. But it'll be interesting to see, where does the world stand after the events of Ghostbusters 2? In which, and I've heard some people, like, I was like on some forums, like people were like, well, the theory is that the government like pressed so hard that the containment unit explosion in Ghostbusters 1, it was a light show. They mentioned that in the first one, that it's psychedelic. They put stuff in the water and these things. That ultimately the government was like, listen, we will not prosecute you and like throw away the key, because we could.
NDAs.
Yes, NDAs pretty much. And that's why there was a restraining order against them using that technology. But after the Statue of Liberty walks through New York City, you can't walk that back.
Yeah.
So what is going to be like, are other people studying the paranormal? Like, that's the kind of stuff I want to see them talk about.
We do have some like evidence of how that world handles it, right? I mean, in the first film, they're treated like celebrities, right? They're on talk shows, they're in magazines.
Larry King.
That's the thing. They were already on TV for a while too.
Right.
So
they're
even,
like
it's not just getting continued.
Right. And so it seems like the public is like, yeah, okay, there's ghosts, and we have exterminators who take care of the ghosts, right?
Yeah.
And then in the second one, they do come back, right? There's that break, and then of course the slime, and then Vigo, right? And it starts back up again, and it's like nothing happened. They're like, oh yeah, this is a thing, right?
Yeah.
Almost forgot there's ghosts around here. And then of course the Statue of Liberty, they're like, it's like a parade. They're like, yeah, hell yeah, right?
Yeah.
It makes no sense to us, but perhaps in that world, it's just a given, like, oh, supernatural stuff happens.
Yeah, we just want to, but I just would like a little something talking about that. That's it. Just like, I don't, it's a weird question to have because it doesn't matter, but everybody has that question. I think a lot of Ghostbusters fans have
It kind
that
of matters,
question.
right? Because as I was watching that trailer, like Paul Rudd and like...
Hey, he's like, how do you guys not know?
Right, well, in this one, they're watching a YouTube video of the old commercial.
And the phone number, she dials the phone number, and I think she picks up the phone and dials, and it goes to Raise a Cult.
Right.
I think that's the little connection there they showed. Because,
God, yes.
Yeah.
Right, but that begs the question, like, okay, so this is just a given. Like, this is, like, supernatural stuff. We're on board. There's no, like, real explanation that needs to happen. But then that conflicts with what the city and county and state of New York were trying to do in the second film, where they're trying to say this is a bunch of bunk, right? I mean, that judge,
the
hammer,
the hammer, yeah.
The Scoleri brothers, he didn't think that would come back to haunt him, but it did.
Pun intended, haunt him.
So I mean, there is a healthy amount of skepticism, it seems like, at least from the government side of it.
Yeah.
But then the general public is like, yeah, the Ghostbusters are legit,
unless
you're talking to that stupid kid at the He-Man birthday party.
Yeah, which is
That's
crazy.
That's
That's Jason Reitman, who is directing Ghostbusters Afterlife. So when he says, my dad says you guys are full of crap, Ivan Reitman directed it, and that's his old cameo, and then she even goes over and calls him Jason to hush him down. Fantastic little cameo there.
And Masters of the Universe Revelations has just started too, and they're both coming out in the same year.
Yeah.
It's gonna be. I think it sounds like there's a war brewing.
Like a crossover.
Yeah.
Now they have done that, and I mentioned crossover intentionally because they have continued to tell a Ghostbuster story in comics.
Yes.
And and I was wondering from your end, macro 30,000-foot view, what sort of, by titling it Afterlife, it really, my mind instantly goes, whenever you have a story with kids who's lost their father, and maybe it's because I just watched a Disney Pixar movie, they want to get their father back. And so maybe some of the desire in pursuing some of this stuff is like, our dad died, we lost all of our money, grandfather gifted us this property in the middle of nowhere kind of thing. We're moving there. But by titling it Afterlife, it really does make me think that we're going to get some answers about the other side.
I think so.
Which was a comic run they did, right? It was The Other Side, Ghostbusters, The Other
Yes,
Side?
they've done Ghostbusters The Other Side. They've actually implemented the idea of the Ghost Corps and the Ghost universes, where they've had the Lady Ghostbusters and maybe just the real Ghostbusters, not the film ones, but like implying that all of these universes do exist.
Kind of exist,
And the comics trying to kind of correct it.
And they don't have to be, they're not beholden to what a comic told, 12 years ago or something, but it's just interesting because, we can't be the only ones with some of these questions.
My mind, when I heard the title, my mind immediately went to, are we going to see something involving Egon from the Afterlife, right?
Mm-hmm.
And with modern technology,
they can have a force ghost.
They can do they can do a force ghost type thing. They can do a deep fake of some sort. But I bet you anything that there is footage that unused footage, unused lines that they might be able to put into something to.
Just like Carrie Fisher with Star Wars Episode 9.
So
that looked great.
And so there's that I think might happen. I kind of hope it does happen, which is interesting and somewhat ironic because Bill Murray, I think he didn't want to do any more of these movies, but he did at one point. I think he actually told.
He wanted to be a ghost.
Yeah, he would want to be a ghost. Yeah. He'd only do it if he was dead and he was a ghost.
Right, which is cool.
But now it's Egon, and now Bill Murray, thank God, is part of the project. At least that's what.
That seems to be the understanding.
Those action figures.
So today, with the IGN did a trailer breakdown with Jason Reitman, and so that's how everyone knew there was going to be a trailer because they were like, tomorrow we're going to have the breakdown. And it's like, well, if we don't have the trailer, we're going to get it. That's why I text you guys. So they released some figures. They've got the kids in figures. There's like a little short kid with like the goggles. There's the girl with the short hair, looks very much like a little Egon. She's the one strapped into the Ecto-1. The RC car trap, phenomenal idea, because in the video game and in the comics, they utilize Ecto-1 more. It's not just a vehicle, but like in the game, it becomes a super trap, so you can slam ghosts into the Ecto-1 and it captures them.
Sweet.
So like you escort the car through New York City streets, and you're grabbing ghosts, and just cool stuff like that. But you've got all of these different avenues that they've gone previously, and I just feel like when the trailer first came out, one of the things I paid attention to was like the ghost designs because they look good.
Yeah.
And the first two Ghostbusters movies, the ghost designs are great.
Yeah.
Like I actually like the
They're
upgrade.
still pretty good.
Slimer, yeah. Slimer was like kind of this little bulgy little guy. I like that they made him big and accentuated in Ghostbusters 2. That looked awesome. And like some of the ghosts look almost cartoonish, and some of them look like dead people.
Yeah.
The jogger in Central Park, and they just hit the trap when he runs over it.
Yeah.
That was great. He's checking his pulse. Really clever stuff. And I will give the 2016 Paul Feig Lady Ghostbusters credit because their ghost designs look great, with the exception of Rowan. Rowan?
Yeah, Rowan.
Yeah, when he became the logo, that didn't work for me. But like the prisoner,
the subway ghost looked
the
great.
Subway ghost looked phenomenal. Like even the lady ghost at the beginning, I liked that they kept, and so there does seem to be.
But I didn't like kind of like the circus aspect of it later.
Yeah.
I didn't care for that as much.
Yeah.
But yeah, there were a bunch of individual ghosts that looked really cool.
Yeah, and it looks like these ghost designs look very much like the universe of the first two. There was a shot, it almost looks like the terror dog's being pulled into a trap. Which the figure of the terror dog, the like legs are like bluish.
Yeah, kind of phasing almost.
Or something, just the those designs look phenomenal. Seeing someone driving an Ecto-1 with someone strapped into the seat chasing a ghost is like everything that after watching the first two Ghostbusters, that's like all I have. This is a cartoon, real Ghostbusters, which is cool. They did in the early 2000s. They did Extreme Ghostbusters, and I'd seen some of that too. But like, it's like, man, there's cool stuff they could do with it. And just seeing the first preview just ripping through the cornfield, it's like, oh man, it's coming back. And then seeing this one where you're seeing them doing stuff with it, like that's where I'm like, okay, you've got me on board. And I will say, like COVID killed a lot of my buzz for movies. I am so bummed. Like I'll watch Bond, but at this point, like all of that buzz I had, and now they're like they just remarketed it. It's coming out in October. Black Widow, I still haven't seen.
I haven't seen it either.
I'll watch it. but this is the one movie that like COVID will not kill my excitement for. It's been such a part of my life that
Think about how I think integral it is to like our friendship. And that movie came out how many years before we even like knew each other? You know?
Oh yeah,
and it's still
the first one came out before I was born.
Exactly.
Was
so
it
like
84? It came out. 83,
I think so.
84?
I think the first one is 84.
84, yeah.
I
The
think
second
so.
one was 89.
The second one, yeah. The second one takes place in 89, but I don't know if it was filmed in 89. I'm almost wondering if it was. I should have looked that up.
We
but
should
it
know
does
this,
take place.
but-
It's New Year's Eve is the setup there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just that's how good. Like how many other people do you really know that you guys have like that close of a bond that late in life? You know, like obviously your friends that you grew up with, that you guys watch movies together and everything. But like we were in our 20s, me in my late 20s, when it's like, oh man, like our love for Ghostbusters is like a big like that's a conversation we always have.
Yeah.
You know, like when we saw this, it's like, oh, we got to talk about Ghostbusters tonight.
Well, think about all the Star Wars movies. Think about all the Star Trek movies, all the Star Trek TV shows, all the Star Trek books, you name it, novelizations and these things. And you see people dress up and they have costumes. You have 2 science fiction comedies from the 80s.
Yes.
And you've got people, Dave's got a fantastic proton pack.
Yeah.
You've got people that they make their full kits and everything. Like there's people that will do like there's like Ghostbusters Chicago.
Yeah.
Like they get together for
The chapters.
you've got and it's from 2 science fiction comedy movies from the 80s that did have a short cartoon run that has had a limited comic run, but that's it.
Yeah.
I mean, so you think about Star Wars and Star Trek, and you think about the giant universe they have. Yes, people dress up for those. Yes, people, but like I was just at Walmart the other day and got this sweet like neon Ghostbusters shirt, and I'm like, oh man, I would have been wearing this for the last 10 or 12 years.
Yeah.
But I'm 34 now, and I'm gonna buy it and I'm gonna wear it.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
For the next 10 years.
for the next 10 years. Yeah.
Right, well, they were 2 good movies, and I know people will, rag on the second film, but that's because they have the first one to compare it to. Right.
But the second one's still good.
Yeah, I'm interested in the characters. I'm interested in the continuation of the story, and so that's why I think this third one coming up it's got such a high bar that it has to make. But I think it's going to make it based off of what I'm seeing. But my question to you is, like, what do you think the story actually is going to be? My theory is that it's going to be something similar to the first one, where the apartment building was Spook Central, right?
Yeah.
But we have another Spook Central where there's a lot of paranormal activity occurring, where Egon had this house or in this town and what have you. And I don't know. I'm wondering what is happening. I know in earlier fan theories and even some writings, there was talk about a portal to hell, right? Ghostbusters in Hell was supposed to be the third one. I wonder if there's going to be some sort of portal that opens up all sorts of ghosts, demons, what have you. Kind of like maybe supernatural vibey type stuff that we'll be seeing.
Yeah, I think from the marketing so far, I think it does make a lot of sense that there's this paranormal activity happening in the middle of nowhere sort of thing. They talk about like earthquakes happening daily. I think we're going to see that the kids are going to, they might instigate something unintentionally. You open the wrong thing, you do whatever. What I'm curious to see is to what extent Paul Rudd's involved. Yeah. I love Paul Rudd. Yeah. One of my favorite actors. I'll like anything he's in, I'll watch. He's done serious stuff, I'll watch. I mean, I've loved him like pretty much since Clueless. But I don't want it to be a Paul Rudd movie. If the story is going to be about the kids have to have a good story. Yeah. And what I don't want it to be is I don't want it to be annoying kids running around and like, because here's what I'll say. Stranger Things really refocused my ideas about how you can tell a good story with kids. Yeah. So often the kids are in the way. So often it's like Anakin builds this pod racer, and it's like, it's working, and it's like, no, actually, Jake Lloyd, it's not. So like, if the kids are done well and they have a good young cast that's done some things, you have a Stranger Things actor that's in it, but. The story needs to center around the family. I like that they're keeping it small. I like that it's not in a city because a lot of paranormal stuff can happen in a rural city that, versus New York, right? So, but yeah, I with the name Afterlife, I think we're going to get some kind of deliberate answer, or part of the story is going to be focused on communicating with the other side to an extent. Even if it's a girl wanting to talk to her dad who died.
I want to know how Egon died. I don't think it's old age.
I think I'm gonna get dark on it. Okay.
Oh boy.
What if Egon killed himself to keep whatever's there?
Like
there?
he drilled a hole in his head because it
Yeah.
would work.
It would have worked.
You know, and whatever he did, like required his life to do. And I mean that is a little dark for the universe, but it could be interesting.
It fits with the character.
It's interesting, and I think I was kind of pitching to you guys the idea. Like, I would love for like Ray to have like kept dabbling, but like gone way deeper into the occult stuff, and like he's kind of like a schlubby Constantine, you know, like he's got some like functional magic, you know, like maybe he's not pulling demons out of little girls, but you know he's able to scare some ghosts away, or he's figured out how like a more holistic approach to like getting rid of the ghosts.
It would probably be a fun departure because they attack ghosts through science, right?
Yeah.
And in this scenario, you're suggesting that he actually leans into the more supernatural magic side.
The spiritual side of it. And I totally see Ray like as somebody, like I've done the experiment, and maybe that's where him and Egon diverge. And that's why Egon has all the tech, because Ray has gone a different route.
Yeah.
Smoke bomb.
Blew my mind.
Yeah.
Right, but I think there's something to the fact that I love the character, so I'm not saying I hope for this, but my hope is he didn't die from old age.
Yeah.
Like, he died, and it's
For a reason.
There's a story involved somehow. Either whatever he's trying to prevent from happening in the town killed him, or I think it'd be an interesting idea if he committed suicide in order to actually further whatever experiments he was trying to do in order to understand the world of the supernatural. I don't know. But I hope it's not old age, just because,
Yeah, because like it would be an interesting idea if like Egon, they're like trapping these ghosts, and like Ray's like, man, like we've got to like help them move on. Like they just have a difference of opinion. Like I could be into that totally.
Oh my God.
Yeah, right.
Like an Xavier and Magneto.
Yeah. Where it's just like, oh man, like they're like we can't, because Egon doesn't believe in an afterlife. Egon doesn't believe, like, he's, like, you can't destroy or create energy, so he's, like, trying to contain it.
So the specter
Egon,
is just here? There's no afterlife? Like...
Yeah, that's what he thinks, but then then Ray figures out, like, we've got to, like, help them, like, move on, and then Egon's trying to stop this thing by himself, and he realizes, like, oh, like, there is more past this, or something like that. Like, there could be a real deep story here, but I think it'll be more family-friendly, obviously, and, man. I love the trailer.
Here's the thing, and with the dynamic, the first two movies are about, entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
This is about a family, who's brought into this.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that, you've got to write the characters, write the dialogue, and write the story that aligns with the family. And because the family cannot be Ghostbusters. Yeah. They weren't raised in this, but...
I was born of this.
Yeah. But as someone who maybe is not as in deep with this, as maybe more of a passive observer,
sure.
What are your thoughts?
I love Ghostbusters, but I don't know, it looks great.
Did you know about that video game that he's referencing? Yeah.
Where Winston went back and got his doctorate.
Oh my gosh! I'm sorry.
Didn't he go to night school or
something? Yeah. And also too, Rick Moranis has signed on to do Honey, I Shrunk the Kids for Disney Plus.
Yeah.
He retired after his wife died.
Yeah.
He got out of acting like completely. Oh. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see him pop up. I love Rick Moranis.
Either he pops up or he's like a credit scene. Because I don't care who you are. If you like the Ghostbusters at all, if there's a credit scene with Tully, Stephen Tully, Lewis Tully, Stephen Tully, I think is a football player, but Lewis Tully, like. That'll get me out of bed.
Yeah, and it could be total fan service, like throwback to like a line that he talks about, like how he was when the blackout happened, he was stuck. He had to go to the bathroom in an elevator for hours, and like you see him get in an elevator and it turn off, and like that would just even that.
So do you think Dana's gonna be in it?
I don't think so. No. I think Peter had a life with Dana, and because and I will say, as a Bill Murray fan and as a Peter Venkman fan. He was always the square peg in the round hole.
What about Oscar?
Well, I think he got out of the biz entirely. Yeah. And so I don't think he's been at all involved.
I am a fraud.
And so whereas Egon is maybe dedicated to the science, and Ray, definitely has that occult interest. He opened a whole bookshop in the events in between. I think Peter and Winston went off and did their own thing. Yeah. And part of part of it's going to be bringing the band back together.
Sure.
Maybe, you know,
Yeah.
I don't want them to all show up in one scene at the end, you know. But at the same time, these kids are not leaving, you know, Sunnyvale or whatever to go find these people. You know, there's got to be something external.
Yeah.
That you know
that they come,
yes.
they see. You know, Winston's at home and he sees light, the light come up, and he's like, "Oh man,
getting too old."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Always hated this part of the job. The amount that's another thing that the Lady Ghostbusters lacked was that there was no nostalgia to it at all. Like it felt like you guys. Well, maybe you know this, but your mom's like the stepdad.
Well, that was what
You know?
Pascal wanted.
Yeah.
She had basically, in those leaked emails, she basically told Paul Feig.
Yeah. Paul Feig.
Feig, maybe.
Yeah. She's like, I want it so far away from those. And I basically gave Ivan Reitman that producer credit just as a marquee thing.
Yeah.
Basically, like locked him out of that making of the female.
It makes no
Ghostbusters,
sense. You want to create a separate thing that's
With,
away from the successful
and then the
franchise.
email, she's like, yeah, we need to reference the old movies, but keep it, super far away from
See,
that.
and already in the past month, they've already done 2 like they did the trailer breakdown.
Mm-hmm.
They also did like a little short thing using the footage that came out from the teaser with
nice.
Ivan and Jason.
There you go.
So they're being deliberate.
Oh,
Yes,
big
this
time.
is
Yes.
connected.
And
You
so
know,
we need-
this
Toys
is
look great.
the third story.
They're putting money into marketing. They're putting and they're like those toy sculpts are amazing.
Yeah.
So there's money in there. Which one pick up, guys? We gotta keep an eye out. And then any accessories, proton packs, any of that stuff, man, I'm picking up all of it.
Mhm.
I am so excited for the merchandise aspect.
And they just started re-merchandising the real Ghostbusters.
Yes, which
Oh,
I've
there
been
you go.
all over.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for these new ones to come down in price a little bit because they're just a little bit more than I want to spend. But you guys can keep doing nostalgia to me. I will buy it. Just keep giving me the packaging, change the art a little bit, change the color scheme. When you change the color on the same figure, I'm fine with that. Totally fine with that, guys. Take my money. I am over the moon about it. It's the first, that might be the first movie I go to the theater to watch this year.
Yeah.
Is that as much as I want to see Black Widow, I can wait.
November.
Oh, okay, yeah.
November. They're saying November in theaters, only in theaters.
Okay.
They're being very deliberate. This will be a
nice.
theatrical
Okay.
release.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
That's
because
great.
today,
That's
if you Googled it,
It was showing up as June.
June June of this year. So
Yeah.
I was worried. I was like, oh god, did it come out somewhere streaming and nobody's talking about it? But the trailer looked amazing. I'm totally down for the next generation of Ghostbusters. I hope that I would love and we keep kind of referencing, but we didn't really say it that end credit. The end of the trailer, the little tag there where the phone rings that raise a Colt.
Yeah.
I mean that blew my mind. Because that wasn't at all in the other one, right?
No, in the second film he had Razor.
No. I mean the that from the trailer wasn't.
Oh,
in
yeah,
the,
yeah,
in the
right.
first
That's
show.
new
That was the
footage.
first. That was
Yeah.
brand new.
Now the
yeah.
first one had the voiceover of Peter. Call it fate. Call
Oh, yeah,
it
that's
reason.
right.
When he's that voiceover was in the
Yeah.
first one, but not anything
Yeah.
from.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah, having the phone ring and like you said, if it's she calls the number, and then that'll be great. That gives me goosebumps just thinking about it. And I would love for Ray and Winston and even Venkman to some extent to be in this universe. Like I said, they don't have to be the stars, but hey, we're hung up on something. We need to go talk to Ray. And they go to the occult shop. Maybe that's their base of operations. Sometimes, there's a TV show there. I think and I'd be all for it. All for it. I think that's our show, kids. I think that's our excitement level. It is through the roof. It's a little late and we're old, but I cannot wait for it. It hits all of those nostalgic markers for me. Eric, do you have any final thoughts for us today?
Go see Ghostbusters.
Go see Ghostbusters. There we go. You heard it from the man himself. From Icarus lips to your ears. Gentlemen, anything you'd like to add?
I just hope there's no shameless plug for Crystal Vodka. Look at you, Dan.
Oh, I want it. I want it.
Yeah, there was a lawsuit about the Ghostbusters theme song being and how close it was to Huey Lewis's "I Want a New Drug."
Right.
Huey Lewis in the News. Big fan of both.
Mhm.
So I want that beef to be settled.
Oh yes, yes.
So
Squash
yeah.
it.
So that's the news.
What's the what was the guy who sang the
Ray Parker Jr.
Ray Parker Jr.
Ray Parker Jr.
Didn't you get me a vinyl of that?
Oh my gosh! And if you have not, go watch the Ray Parker Jr. Ghostbusters music video filled with comedian cameos, John Candy, Chevy Chase. Like
John Candy's supposed to be in it.
Yeah,
he's supposed
and-
to play Lewis.
And then they get all of them like walking through. Like I don't even think they closed off Times Square. I think they were just like roll it, and they're like walking. They're doing that walk. Yeah. Oh my gosh. And it's got this weird like neon like stuff. It's just a fun like 80s.
Did Ron Jeremy make it in for the music video?
Yeah.
Did he really?
Wait, I'm sorry.
Did Ron Jeremy make it into the music
I don't
video?
know.
Okay,
They carried-
plus-
they-
Yeah, he's in the crowd. Yeah, when the building. Yeah, he's in the crowd. Yeah.
They carried through that same move down Times Square in the real Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
In the credits.
Oh, in the oh yeah.
And the other thing I have for you is watch Netflix's show, The Movies That Made Us, because they have an episode about the making of the Ghostbusters. And that's a great context to have if you're a super Ghostbusters fan.
Yeah, I need to watch that. I haven't caught that at all. They did a weird comic book crossover with the Transformers. And the Ghostbusters, where like Gozer gets like reincarnated or on Cybertron.
Is he a Decepticon?
Yeah, or just like trying to take over the whole thing. And it's funny because one of the covers is like the Ecto One changes, and it's like doing the dance like on the cover. So yes, that is my final thought. Read that story. Interesting, if not ridiculously silly. It's worth a read if you're a fan of either. Kids, if you like what we're doing, please hit that subscribe button. Let us know what you think below. Did you like the trailer? And thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for listening. I've been your host, Roman Chavez.
I'm still Eric Icarus.
Boys, thank you again for joining us, and we will catch you on the next podcast.